Seniors, we love you. And here's some teachers just with a few words for you. So I'm going to pass the mic to Madam.
I've not taught all of you, but have had a good number of you for 1, 2, 3, or 4 years. And each one of you has been a blessing in my life. I know that many of the things I say here are true for others among you whom I was not blessed to teach as well. You've been a very strong group academically, driven and ambitious, and you have been rewarded with strong academic achievement. Many of you have been willing to step out into leadership. For some, this was more natural than for others, but for all of you, those early steps were filled with both anxiety and courage. Y'all have been a lot of fun, and on some occasions you've made me laugh till I've cried. We've definitely cried together, sometimes as a group and sometimes one-on-one. Some of you have begun to grasp what lostness really means, and when God has awakened you at night, you've prayed for the lost of Maniwaki. Please continue, as our God hears and answers. I am blessed to know that many of you fell in love with the Word of God and acquired a great true thirst for it during these years. That alone makes your experience at CAK priceless. I've seen many of you learn to forgive, others learn to admit when you're wrong, and those traits will last a lifetime. We have shared needs and joys, and many of you have learned the goodness of transparency. My favorite blessing that you've given me started with a few of you when you were only freshmen, and I believe was true for all of you by your junior year. When I spoke of spiritual things and love for Jesus or changing the world in his name, you looked me in the eye and sat on the edge of your seats. Your teachers here will always be no more than a text away in these years to come. But if things go as usual and Jesus tarries, most of your teachers will get to heaven before you. If we can leave the wonder of praising him from time to time, I think we'll all want to run over to be in that great cloud of witnesses who will be cheering you on from above. So when things are good or when things are tough, may God use a word of our love for you to strengthen your heart for the journey ahead.
I have not had the privilege of actually teaching any of the seniors, which I wish that I'd had the privilege of teaching you all. But I am able to speak about something very significant, and that is that I know there's a group of the senior class that has met to pray ever since their sophomore year. And this group met every week, and as a group prayed for one another, for their class, and for the school. They faithfully continued in prayer for the last 3 years. I had the privilege of praying with that group one time, and I have to say, I've never prayed with a more mature praying group, a group that knows and is just the experience of prayer of any age in my life than that group. I'm confident that much of the good that has taken place, not only in your class, probably in the individuals' lives who prayed, but in this school. And I can say, in my 17 years here, spiritually, I believe that the high school's at a better place than it's ever been. And I thank that group because I believe that the labor of that prayer has resulted in the effect of the good work that we see in the school. And probably many things that we don't tangibly see, but the work is prayer. That's where the true work and labor is done, and that work will continue bearing fruit for years and years to come. So I personally want to thank that group. You know who you are. There's probably others that have joined at times that I don't know who they are, but I cannot thank you enough for your great labor of prayer. And as I was writing this, I was thinking of what Jesus said about praying in secret, and the Father will reward you. And what really was on my heart this morning was just the prayer that he will provide people that will labor for you continually through your life in the way that you have labored for us. So thank you.
Well, Ms. Stanford took one of my groups that I wanted to say something special. So the prayer group, I'm just going to echo what she said. You learn in my class that prayer is the most important piece of qualities of leadership, and everything has to start with prayer. And I just hope that the whole senior class would continue to remember that one point. My special prayers or statements for this morning, first of all, go to all the different leaders in the school. For example, people that led mission trips and stepped out a little bit farther, captains of sports teams, presidents of clubs. You guys have a tough job, and being a leader is a difficult thing, and I just want to encourage you to continue to strive forward and take steps forward despite failure or despite hardship. Leading is not an easy thing, and I just want to encourage you, all of you, to continue to do that. One of the things that I mentioned, and I want to talk about capstones for a moment, is how unbelievably amazing the senior capstones, all of them, were this year. Unbelievably amazing. It certainly moves my heart because the blessing that I have is I got to see every single one of them. And the student body, you haven't. And I mentioned this idea of mission and how so many of you went on mission and how you brought Christ to the unloved, to the people that need love. And I just want to encourage you to continue to do that. Don't give up on mission work. It's so necessary. And I'm not just talking mission work overseas. I'm also talking to those of you that did mission work in downtown Knoxville or wherever you're headed to college. Get connected when you get there. Continue to do that work. And finally, with that last thought, I just want to say a special blessing to all of you, because faith is not an easy process. I know we're all in different steps in the journey. Please, 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 I encourage you to continue to seek him, wherever that is. Right now you're in the first quarter of maybe 4 quarters of your life. Maybe, if we're going to do a sports analogy. What are you going to do with the end of your first quarter? Are you going to go sit on the bench? Or are you going to strive and do great things? Or in the words of Chris Patty, are you going to go big? Go big.
As many of the teachers who are up here could say, I've been teaching for a long time, and every year, every class has a different personality. It's not every class that has the same gifts and abilities and personalities. And I've been teaching 21 years. In that time, I guess I would say there are probably about 4 or 5 graduating classes that I've just really felt close with overall. And it just may be a personality thing, it may be a gift thing, I'm not sure what it is, but my heart's been hurting for a while because I feel so bonded with it. Some chemistry. I feel so bonded. I didn't do that on purpose, it just comes out. With this senior class. As I was trying to think of what characteristics in particular I wanted to focus on, and there are many. You have many gifts, you have many talents, you have very many strong academic people, and people who are going to go on to do great things. But I was trying to come up with one word that I thought would summarize perhaps what I appreciate most. And I think it would be that you have depth. Thank you. That you have depth. I've seen so many of you go deep in different ways. Some of you were scared to death to take an academic challenge in 10th grade, and I've seen you go on to do great things. Some of you were so afraid of leadership, and you've gone on and become great leaders. And so many of you have a heart for investing in other people, and that's the one that I want to focus on the most. So, being the nerd that I am, I tried to come up with a chemistry analogy, and we'll see if anybody remembers. I'm going out on a limb here. Okay, find the folder in your brain that has to do with periodic table. Okay, you got it. Of the 118 elements currently known to exist, approximately 80% of them are metals. Thank you. Who was that? Okay, and what do metals like to do with their electrons? They like to share them or give them away. So, I'm going to tie those two things together. Shh. Listen, I encourage you to be metals in life. I encourage you to take your gifts and talents and abilities and give them and go deeply with people. You will get hurt, you will get disappointed, you will get talked about. Some days you will wonder, wouldn't it be easier to live a shallow life? But I can tell you that you will never feel more rich than when you give yourself away, meaning your time, your energy, your gifts, your talents, your money. So I encourage you to pour yourself out. Go deep with people. Most people have pain, and if you start talking to them, a lot of people open up. So I encourage you to live a life where you're not afraid to go deep with people. And I can just tell you from sharing with you all the years that I've been here that I can't imagine living life any other way. So I encourage you to do that.
I just want to sing with you one last time. I do. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it, the world and all who live in it. He founded it upon the seas and established it upon the waters. Who may ascend the hill of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? He who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his soul to an idol, or swear by what is false. He will receive blessing from the Lord, and vindication from God his Savior. Such is the generation of those who seek him, who seek your face, O God of Jacob. Lift up your heads, O ye gates. That's the tricky part. Be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is he, this King of glory? The Lord Almighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye gates. Be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of glory may come in. Who is he, this King of glory? The Lord Almighty, the King of glory. Don't forget the Almighty. Don't forget the Almighty.
Is that really? Okay. I'm just going to read my card. Okay, I only teach like just under half of the seniors, but I can tell by the entire grade that what I'm about to say applies to them all. You seniors I have taught have encouraged me with your passion. Whether good or bad, you seniors have followed your deepest desires and direction, no matter how uncomfortable, unpopular, or scary. This leads into your courage, which shapes your leadership, your actions, your words, but mostly just who you are in literally every hour of your daily lives. You seniors have been so real, and for some, even without speaking a word to me about your personal phase with the Lord, you have taught me about humility, obedience, and a radical desire to follow God and only God. I thank you all for teaching me about a faith that's so evident it's nearly tangible. I pray that you will continue walking in such unity with the Lord, and that he will continue to guide you in your next steps. I guess, Okay. The big thing. The big thing that I think about as a teacher, I always feel like as a teacher, in my authority, I have to be able to guide you, that I have to be somewhat wiser, somewhat smarter, a bit more understanding about what is God's love. And in having taught you all, I've learned that we're brothers and sisters, and we're still teaching each other. And that's something that I'm consistently gonna be learning. Mais ça a commencé avec. But that started with your class. And that's a joy that I'm really looking forward to teaching in general. Always teaching teenagers in general. You have that childlike faith from which I can keep learning. I don't know, and that's what makes it such a blessing to have taught you all. I'm done. So.
They've all said so many good things, it's hard to know what else I can say. So I just wanted to sum up what I have seen in you. I don't follow you on Facebook, and I don't read your tweets, so I don't know what's there under the surface. And I do that on purpose because I see you in your fruits. And that's where you know a person. I've seen your actions, and I've seen you purposefully praying and working for God to be glorified at CAK. And I've seen fruit from that. I've seen genuine worship in chapel. I've seen seniors sitting in the front row worshiping. That doesn't always happen, and I appreciate that. I've seen you making choices to serve younger students, whether it's by leading Bible studies or being captain of a team and deliberately trying to mentor younger students, whether it's through teaching special needs children how to do cheerleading, which I can't imagine doing. You have reached out to others who are not your peers, and you have deliberately tried to be good leaders for them. This winter, I saw your hearts broken over the loss of a freshman and asking yourselves, how did we fail him, recognizing responsibility for those younger than you. I've seen, even in class, when we break into groups for studying, pulling other people's desks over to join yours when someone was still by himself. I've heard heartfelt prayers for God to move among us. I thank you for that. As you go forward, I would urge you to hold on to that thought, that there is power when you work together. Ecclesiastes says that a cord of 3 strands is not easily broken. Remember that a life preserver is only as strong as the rope tying it to safety. If you're going to be a life preserver for the world, rescuing those who are lost, you need to create that strong rope by finding 2 other faithful believers. More is fine, but it really takes at least 2 others, and uniting in accountability and encouragement for each other. Then you will be able to bring the lost to safety. Without that strong cord, you risk being pulled loose from the shore. You risk being pulled under by those that you're seeking to save. But with that strong cord, you're safely anchored. So as you set out on your next voyage, may you be like Tennyson's sailors, with heroic hearts as you go forward, strong in will to strive, to seek, to find, and not to yield. Happy voyaging.
Good morning, seniors. First of all, allow me to apologize that I'm not in here the whole chapel day. I'm on a conference call that's been scheduled for 6 months, and I just couldn't change it, so I've stepped out from that to step in and do this. So I do think this is a very important day that we recognize your accomplishments and speak a blessing over you, so that's what I want to do now. I want to mention a couple things. Probably in every way, this senior class has exceeded my expectations, whether in the arts, socially, spiritually, academically. You really led our high school to new heights in just more ways than I really have time to talk about. I think about capstones this year, and we knew this would be a little bit of a 3-year process, that we would get capstones to where Mr. Petrick and I, who listened to most of them, and Coach Estes, where we would come out and really talk about the meaningful things that you're doing and the way you're impacting your world. And this year, I can truly say, virtually after every capstone, we were just amazed. We were just stunned at how thoughtful they were and how purposeful they were, and that you really took this seriously. So I do want to recognize that in front of the entire student body, that this class reached heights on that we had talked about when we put this into place. I thought they were phenomenal. So probably the last time I'll get to speak to you guys, and as a whole, the senior class especially here, and that just to remind you that the Christian life's a journey. It'll go different paths. It'll have left turns. It'll have right turns. Occasionally it'll be on pause. But just to remember it's a journey. And don't let the journey discourage you. Let it encourage you. As you read Scripture, you'll figure out and you'll find out that all of the men and women of the Bible were on a journey. And God was always faithful to them on that journey. So I remind you, He'll always be faithful to you. And regardless of what that looks like, regardless of what your journey looks like, if you'll turn to Him, you'll recognize He is faithful. I always try to turn to Scripture when I read a blessing over someone, and this is in Numbers 6, and this is Aaron's blessing. It's verses 22 through 26. The Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to Aaron and his sons, saying, Thus you shall bless the people of Israel. You shall say to them, The Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord lift up His countenance upon you and give you peace." That's my prayer for you guys, that He'll always give you peace. Blessings, guys.
Does that bother anyone? Good morning. I jotted down just a few notes, and this really is for the seniors, but I'm going to speak to everyone. I think I was able to make 2 chapels last May. I was actually in the office across from Mr. Snider. And I remember the first time I was in here, I can't remember exactly what the chapel was, but I do remember that I had to excuse myself and go out, and I think I called Pamela and said, I described it to her. And it was just something that we hadn't experienced for the past 7 years. So it was really encouraging. Warts and all. CAK is not perfect. You guys know that. None of us are perfect. We never will be this side of heaven. But seniors, as you leave and everybody else who's here, you need to know that you're loved. You know, I think back to August. It's a long time ago. A lot's happened between then and now. I had the opportunity to stand before you and kind of kick the year off. And think back. August. Wow. Some of you were actually checked out last August. Right? Seniors, maybe, kind of. My wife and I have tried to get to know a lot of you this year. And though I don't know a huge number of you yet, I plan to, this time of the year always gets me. And it's because of this. I always ask myself this question. And this is a global question, and it goes like this. Have we done enough? As a school, have we done enough? Have we prayed enough? Have we prayed enough? Have we prayed enough? Have we helped? Have we discipled? Have we opened our lives? Have you seen Jesus in us? And the answer to that is no and yes. The answer is no because we could always do more. Period, end of discussion. So it's almost a silly question to ask. But the answer is yes because you've been invested in academically, spiritually, emotionally. It's been done. It has. My message is really simple this morning, and it goes like this, and this is for everyone in the room, because we're all in the same boat. We're all on the journey that we just heard about, and here's my point. You are not finished yet. As you leave these hallways and go on to the next chapter, as you're going to hear in the next couple weeks all the time, you're not finished yet. Those of you who are coming back next year, you're not finished yet. If you're leaving CAK, you're not finished yet. If you're retiring, you're not finished yet. None of us are finished yet. And I'll have a verse for you in just a moment. Most of you know this, but I want to give you a distinction between two words, justification and sanctification. Justification was the moment you came to know the Lord and you were justified in front of him. Sanctification is the ongoing process of becoming like Jesus. And that's what we're all in. And we're all at different points. Some of you in this room don't believe. Some of you in this room have a really hard time singing those songs. Some of you are at a different point. We can't control that. All we're called to do is invest in the process of helping you become like Jesus. I can tell you this, that if you know him, if you've said yes to him, he will relentlessly pursue you to make you like his son. We have something here on Sunday nights about once a month or so called Breakthrough. And it's funny, I'm 49 years old. This is my 27th year in education, my 4th school, and the Lord continues to teach me. And this is what he's taught me this year. Every day, almost every moment is a breakthrough. It's what is he teaching you now? What is he making you, what's he bringing to your mind? So my conclusion is this: your life in Christ is an ongoing series of one breakthrough after another. So seniors, I don't know you that well, but I do know that as you leave here, you're at a point. I don't know what that point is. Most of us don't know what that point is. But break through. Go to the next point. And then there's going to be another one. And then there's going to be another one. And then there's going to be another one. It doesn't end. That's the whole journey that we've talked about. I want to tell you 2 points in my life. One was at Wheaton College. I graduated from Lancaster Central High School outside of Buffalo, New York. I was just there because my grandmother passed away. And I went by the high school and saw it and remembered that I left there and went to Wheaton. Now, I have a theory. It's completely undocumented. It's completely anecdotal. But as I've talked to people through their lives, sophomore year in college becomes a big point. You've been away a year. You start to process really on your own, by yourself. Do I believe this stuff? I went through that at Wheaton. It was the moment that I claimed, Lord, I'll follow you. I'll do whatever you want. And then the journey began. I want to tell you another part of the breakthrough. It's this year. This year's been a major breakthrough for me. The last 7 years were really hard. Really hard. This year, he's teaching me not things I didn't know, just in a different way. Can I be brutally honest with you? This is who I am, transparent. He's teaching me that he loves me. Not you. I can say that. That's easy for me to say. I can say, oh, well, he loves everybody. He loves you. He loves... It's very hard for me to say that he loves me. It's a new breakthrough. So let me conclude with this. Don't just know about Jesus. I know it's trite. But know him. The facts, it's almost irrelevant. I almost want to tell you, if you know about Jesus, forget it. Throw it out. Know him. That's what he wants you to do. Secondly, we just sang this, and it hit me between the eyes. And you don't know what you're really singing because I don't know what I'm really singing, and it's this. May the Spirit lead you, us, where my trust is without borders. Without borders. I can give you examples in this room of people who are doing that. I like God in a box. It's a lot nicer. I can understand him. But lead me where my trust is without borders. I'll conclude with this. Seniors, I'm one of these people, I go to the mall and sit and watch people. I like to watch people. And I always wondered, I married way up. You all know that. You've gotten to know my wife, out of my league. I hit it way out of the park, all that. I get it. She's attractive. I'm not. She's smart. I'm not. I know. I've been through it for 22 years. And I always wonder what people think when they see us, like, oh, my word. Why would she pick him? Because I do that in the mall. I look at couples and go, really? But here's what I want you to know. I haven't been in the hallways every moment of every day. I haven't gotten to know you every moment of every day, but I've watched. You don't know that. I'm not saying in a stalking way. But I've watched you in the hallways. I've watched you interact with your teachers. And this goes for everybody. I've watched you walk and be caring to people. I've watched you on the fields. I've watched how you lived your faith out. And I can say this with all certainty. When you look back over the year and you think, did you really pick up from Montgomery, Alabama and move to Knoxville, Tennessee? I don't know if you guys know that, but we're new this year. We just came here. You look back and you go, really? There's a whole lot there. So I've watched you. And I can honestly say this, I'm better for having gotten to know you and interacted with you and learned from you as I watch you become who the Lord wants you to be. Thank you for the privilege of, allowing us to be a part of this school. We're grateful. And thank you for the privilege of just allowing me to be bookends this year, to start the school year and to end the school year. I do pray the Lord's best for you, but I do pray that your trust in him will really be without borders. Thank you.
We end chapel today with the passing of the mantle, but a few of the seniors, if you could say a few things. Amy?
Hey, I'm Amy. I just want to thank y'all for such a great senior year and for all the teachers for those words of encouragement and of life. I'm really thankful. So we're talking about passing the mantle and like seniors leaving and juniors stepping up. Woohoo, revival. But really, I guess what my heart is, like the message that I really want y'all to hear is that you've got to follow Jesus. You've got to submit to him. If you want CAK to become something different, if you want it to become something more like him, something more beautiful, you have to submit and you have to be led by him. And so that's just my encouragement, that your heart would be one of a follower. And that's what will make you a leader. And so that's just what I hope for you. And here's someone else. Dylan. Okay.
Hey, guys. Well, I get to go after Amy, so it's great. But I just wanted to encourage not only the rising seniors, but everyone, just to be present at CAK, especially senior year. I found for me, it's really, really hard. Senioritis hits you pretty hard. And so I just want to encourage all of you to not only be present in your communities, in your classes, but just be present in the hallways. It's so easy to check out, and I feel like I could probably go through my day without talking to anyone and go to each single class right when the bell rings, go to my next one, and just get out of here. But it's so important, and it means so much to everyone else around you to be present in the lives of the underclassmen, and just, I've said be present like a million times, but it's so important, and it's hard to do senior year, but I think if you focus on it, you can really make an impact next year. So.
Okay. Okay, everyone can hear me. For just a second, I want to take a second and talk about loving people well. If you came to Breakthrough, you heard me talk about this a little bit before. It's really simple and really hard to do. I mean, we've all heard that we need to love people. We've all been told that we need to be a leader too, and I don't necessarily believe that, but I believe we're all called to love people. And you can ask my brother, he's sitting right there in the back right, if I love him all the time, and I promise you the answer is no. And part of the reason I say that is because you're not going to be able to love people all the time, and it's really hard to do. It sounds really easy, but it's not. And the only way that we're going to be able to do that is by unifying this school. And that's kind of weird because you have to love people to unify this school. But everyone knows that CAK is full of these little cliques. And they're not really exclusive, they're just not inclusive. And we need to include people. Guys, the way that we're going to unify this school is not just by telling people they can't come to parties or telling them they can't be here or can't eat lunch with us, but it's asking them to come with you. It's loving people and being nice. That's so simple. And it's so easy. But I promise you, today I'm going to be mean to somebody, and someone's going to have to call me out, otherwise I'm not going to notice it. So I just want to encourage you guys to be nice to each other and love people well, because like Amy said, these things that the seniors are talking about are just ways that CAK is going to look different. And if you're not a believer, just completely ignore that. But if you're a believer and actually want to see CAK change, then listen to what these seniors are saying, because I can promise you that they know what they're talking about. They're not just standing up here and making this up as they go along. So I just ask you guys to really, everybody in this room, not just the juniors, everyone in here can love people. Thank you.
I'm just going to talk about service really quick. Service is not something that we do for God alone, like by ourselves, through ourselves. It is totally something that we do with Jesus, with his empowerment, with his spirit in us, leading us. Life is an invitation to join him in what he's doing. And so I just encourage not just the juniors, but all of you guys to look for what he's doing and where he's using you. Service shouldn't be a religious guilt trip. I mean, how many of us feel that all the time? It should just come out of a heart of freedom and love for Christ, and just a joy in doing that. Service doesn't have to be out of the state, guys. It is right here. Like, the people next to you have hurting hearts. This is one of the most burdened schools ever, just with hurting hearts. And so in this room, like, because of Jesus' invitation, you can be the hands and feet to the very people you're sitting next to. Don't you want to join them in that? Like, that is so exciting. You are so needed in this place, and I just want to read a verse really quick. This is Esther 4:14. For if you remain silent at this time, relief and deliverance for the Jews will arise from another place, but you and your father's family will perish. And who knows but that you have come to royal position for such a time as this, guys. Don't remain silent in this place. If you see something, go ask that person. Be intentional. Love well. Ask and allow Jesus to make you an instrument of healing, of relief and deliverance in this place, because it's so needed. Today is for such a time as this. It's not next year. It is today and each and every day. Service is just like, it can be simple. Write a note, give a hug, give encouragement. Ask intentional questions. Tell people how much you love them. Just don't assume that they know it. Just tell them. Jesus has placed something in you to give away that nobody else has. So give it out. Love people well, and thank you.
One of the things I've learned this year is leadership's hard. It's not easy, and stepping into leadership is probably one of the hardest things I've had to do in high school, because for the first time in your life, everybody's looking at you. Everybody's looking at what you say and how you treat others, but it is so important to step into that leadership. Being present is hard. Serving is hard. Staying in the Word is hard. But it's so worth it, and it is so important, because if we don't have strong leadership in the school, we won't be unified. And if we're not unified, we're not glorifying God. And if we're not glorifying God, what are we doing with our lives? So juniors, I'm really talking to you right now. You're going to be challenged with stepping up into leadership next year, but do it, because it's worth it.
See. Hi, everyone. I'd like to pass on a word to you that a precious friend of mine has drilled into me for a long time now, and it's to stay in the Word. It is so important. If you want to truly lead people to the heart of the Father, you have to draw near to the heart of the Father yourself, and you have to seek after it when it's hard and when it's easy, and when you're in green pastures and it's lovely, and then when you're super dry and you just have to keep pursuing. I mean, the Word is literally spiritual calories, and you can't lead, you can't live, you can't love people well on an empty tank. So you need to pursue it and imbibe it and study in community and study in the quiet and just like seek after it and seek after Him so you can lead well and love well.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you the secret to how to be a good leader. Yeah, I know. But yeah, everything the senior class is saying, and I think every senior in here who has made, actualized an impact that isn't just temporal, that will be eternal, will agree with me that this is how you lead, and this is it. So ready? Especially juniors. So important. Get together and pray. Pray in community, pray alone. Like Miss Stanford was talking about, we started our sophomore year getting together and praying, and it makes a difference. And if you, I don't know what the juniors have done, but if you haven't started yet, start now and get together this summer and start praying about what senior leadership looks like. And the only way that communal prayer will be fruitful is also if your individual prayer lives are diligent. And so get in prayer every day about this, and God's going to reveal things to you. And that's going to be really cool. Yeah. Thank you for letting us serve you this year. But I'm going to pray specifically for the juniors, and we're going to finish up. So, Father, thank you so much for this school and for this junior class and how you're raising them up. Lord, I pray that you will bring up men and women who look to you, who are following after you. And Lord, I pray that in their pursuit of you, that others will see it and they'll be able to follow you as well as from the encouragement. Father, I pray for the seniors going out of CAK, that we will continue to be able to be blessed by you, that we will seek your face. Jesus, thank you for this school. I pray for a blessing over CAK. And I pray these things with power and authority in your name, Jesus. Amen.